Ian, you're an analyst at Enders Analysis, a great UK-based boutique media analysis firm. Does some great work. So hopefully you're going to be able to give us a great big picture, lots of data, lots of insight into where we are right now, into the online video opportunity. So we hear a lot about digital disruption, but you look at some of the trends that show analog consumption or conventional media, TV consumption's going up and up. That seems to mean the linear advertising opportunity is still going great guns, at least in TV. So is the future going to look any different?
Yes, I think it will, although as we were saying earlier, I think it's going to be, it'll be different for different audiences also in different markets. So overall TV viewing is growing, as you say, more and more people are spending more time watching television, but that's largely being driven by older people who continue to plonk themselves down in front of the television every day for hours a day, and that which hasn't really changed in decades. But we're seeing a divergence between what the over 35s are doing and what under 35s are doing. So increasingly young people want to choose where they watch programs, how they watch them, and when they watch them. So we're seeing an increasing share of viewing amongst under 35s is on demand and to new devices like smartphones, like tablets. So I think we're seeing, we are seeing some divergence in how different audience groups are consuming television.
So that's digital consumption or time shifted and sometimes place shifted consumption of content produced for linear old style consumption.
Not just that, we're also seeing companies like Google with YouTube investing in web-only content, and there are tons of other companies doing the same sort of thing who are trying to sort of break into the TV market, which is not easy. Clearly, these days with the internet, with cable, with satellite TV, the barrier to entry is actually content. It's not distribution. It's relatively straightforward to have access to an enormous audience. The question is whether or not you can actually attract an audience and get them to watch whatever it is that the content that you're serving. And that means investing in good quality content, which is where we're seeing some convergence between the sort of web-only content where companies are investing more and more and the production values are increasing, and traditional TV.
So YouTube is doing that. YouTube is investing in small-time, mid-scale content producers. How will that move the needle for them in the UK? Is it just about content, or is it about, for YouTube to make a splash on, say, the connected TV screen, isn't it more about how YouTube is oriented on that screen? Right now it's just an app at the end of several screens in the UX.
I think that's true, but there, some interesting data came out this week where it turns out that YouTube have a channel on Virgin Media, and viewing of YouTube on Virgin Media is now greater than viewing of iPlayer, of the BBC iPlayer. Right. So we are starting to see some change. We are starting to see services like YouTube, online services getting traction, not just on smartphones and tablets, but also to the TV set. And ultimately, they're all about trying to generate as much advertising revenue as they can. And we estimate YouTube this year will generate about $4 billion in advertising revenue.
The interesting thing I think about YouTube on Virgin Media's TiVo box is, sure, it's there as an IP channel somewhere in the online EPG, but I presume what really moved the needle for them recently was it's so many menus away, they created a conventional EPG channel number for YouTube.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I think that there's still, with the TV set, there's still a sort of hierarchy of choice, where people first of all go into in the UK, the main public service channels. After that, they'll go to the digital channels if they can't find something on the BBC or ITV that they want to watch. And only after that will they go into the time shift or catch-up TV. So, and on demand is probably even lower than that. So, for the TV set at least, your position on the EPG and making it easy for people to find you is absolutely critical.
So connectable TVs are being purchased now as standard feature in many sets, but maybe you have numbers that show not many people are connecting them. If that's the case, what is it going to take for that to happen at large scale?
Well, I think it's, in terms of penetration, it's going to happen naturally. As you say, more and more TV sets have internet connectivity built into them. The question is, as you said earlier, is how many people are actually using that? And so far the answer is not very many. And I think that the challenge for connected TV is the live linear experience is still incredibly powerful. So most people flop down in front of the TV and say to the television, entertain me, switch it on, and that's really it. And it's quite a passive experience. I think the more interesting area, certainly in the near term, is connected viewing via new devices, particularly mobile devices like smartphones and tablets, where we're seeing huge ramp up in the number of people who have them and who are using them to watch video content.
Is there a bigger opportunity for advertisers in mobile consumption of video on these devices, or using these devices as a second screen accompaniment to the primary screen?
I would say the former. I think the challenge with a lot of second screen activity is most of it is unrelated to what's going on screen. You're chatting on Facebook with your friends, you're emailing, your colleagues. It's really a replacement for reading a magazine or reading a newspaper or chatting to somebody next to you. It's not necessarily related to what's happening on screen. So that's the problem with a lot of second screen activity. There is a part of it, of course, which is related, and there are plenty of broadcasters trying to exploit that. But so far, the revenues from it have been very, very small.
So, do you think the broadcasters who try to exploit that on behalf of marketers are barking up the wrong tree?
No, I think they should experiment, and I'm sure there is a market for it. It's questionable how big it is, and we're seeing different strategies. So the free-to-air broadcasters see it very much as a revenue opportunity. The pay TV operators see it more as a way of cementing their control over the EPG and integrating it into their pay TV services, and essentially trying to lock in their subscribers to their services. So, it really depends on what the goals are. But as a distinct revenue-generating opportunity, I think it's fairly, at least for now, fairly niche.
Right. So, you're an analyst at Enders. What's the next big thing? What's the next ad tech technology on the horizon that we don't necessarily know about?
I'm not sure about technologies that we don't know about. I think the big trends right now, as Casper can probably talk about far more eloquently, is the shift, as you've referenced already, is the shift to programmatic buying, the shift from basically trying to buy an audience through content to actually directly targeting that audience, which you aggregate across a number of sites. And we're seeing the rise of audience-based buying, and also programmatic buying through trading platforms such as Access and others. And I think that's really the big shift that we're seeing in the online advertising market, is a shift away from directly negotiated deals to programmatic automated dealing via these trading platforms.